So I have an idea of how a normal year looked. And as we came into March, it was literally like confetti just going off my diary, just disappeared. Absolutely, quite literally, events just fell away. And what we've done as an office is we've been sort of fairly pragmatic about it. And we went out to our key partners like Destination Bristol, schools, large charities like St Peter's Hospice, those large partners and in the city. And I had lots of meetings, Zoom meetings with those people. Mm-hmm. I did quite a lot of school assemblies, which was kind of cute, actually. It was really sweet. And they asked lovely questions, and it was really nice to engage with young people. So we did quite a lot of that, and we kind of reached out to people to kind of keep spirits up in a way. I mean, I think that was a lot of it. Also to maintain the profile of the Lord Mayor within the city. We early into the pandemic, we decided that really my focus is about recovery and being, communication, connectedness, and honouring those people who, one, have lost their lives, but also honouring those who've gone the extra mile, done amazing things, etc. So that's really what our focus has been. And we are Pete, who does my diary, he's taken a very pragmatic view. We're kind of almost running, I would say, almost a 2-week cycle. So everything was quite short term in terms of planning, because we, especially at the outset, we didn't know what we were going to be doing or where we were going to be or what life was going to look like. So there's no point in saying we're going to do some rather grand event and actually, as it's turned out, is not going to happen. So we've been running the diary on quite a short cycle, and that's worked.
Good.
That seems to have been effective. And we're also thinking very, we're obviously forward thinking, and it'd be really interesting to talk to you about Remembrance and how you see Remembrance, because that's a real key event which is coming at us quite fast now, relatively speaking. And also Christmas. I had a chat I have a regular monthly meeting with Bishop Viv, who's Bishop of Bristol, which is a really useful diary event, because it gives us the opportunity to just talk about where the city's at, the sort of how people are feeling across the city, pressure points, those kinds of things, but also to get her feeling about, because obviously they're in large events and where they're thinking, what they're thinking about for Christmas and things. So so that's basically what I've been doing. I've been doing the odd socially distanced thing. So I've got my local allotment show on Saturday, which it will be delightful. If it's like this, it'll be boiling, but it'll be nice. But I'm going down there we're being very mindful in the office about, last year I went down and officially opened the allotment show, which was great. This year we've taken the view, if I open the show, it may send out a message that life is okay and people turn up, and we can't encourage large events. Right. So I'm going to attend, is my allotment anyway, but I'm going to attend, but in a much more low-key capacity.
And I guess if you're not opening it and attending it, that means that you can submit some of your own produce to be judged. I see where you're going with this.
But we don't feel that I can, if they said, and the Lord Mayor's going to open it, it could send out a message that actually, it's not going to be a large event, it's very low key, but it could send out the wrong kind of message. So we're very mindful in our office about the messages that we're sending out, and any photographs we're being very, 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 very careful about.
Yeah, I mean, we're the same. We did have a little chat just before we recorded about what was happening in Bath and Bristol. And I think our commonalities are similar, really, aren't they, in terms of, you know, students and tourists and how it's feeling. I differently from you, I didn't have the benefit of a year's experience. It was quite so wonderful to learn from your experiences. And so ever since really June the 6th, we've been in that period where we've slightly been coming out of lockdown. But it's been at that, you can't plan. You really can't plan too much in advance. And you're right, I mean, by nature, I'm a quite a cautious person anyway, but I'm being even more cautious that it's not perceived that the mayor is out there doing things that are dangerous. So the mask is always on if I'm going towards a shop, even if whether I'm wearing the chain or not, which is what I would do, I think, but I'm now doubly certain that we want to do it. And one of the things that I'm quite keen on doing in Bath is there has sometimes been a perception that the mayor of Bath is almost the mayor of the Guildhall and the Abbey and not the whole area of Bath. So a bit like, because I follow, as I say, Stephen Williams on Facebook, and I saw you last year, you were going to all areas throughout Bristol.
Oh, yes.
And that's absolutely what I'm doing now in Bath. I'm making sure I'm going to different wards, picking a bench, sitting on it and talking to whoever wants to talk to me at a suitable, socially distanced way.
Oh, okay.
The other things that I've done, rather than, yes, we are talking to a lot of our key partners, but we're lucky in that we've got 4 twin cities. So I've done quite a lot of talking to our twin cities to learn from what they
so
feel.
have I. Yeah.
There you go.
Yes. Then the twin cities, I was hoping to go to Tbilisi in September, but that's obviously not going to happen. And I should have gone to Guangzhou in China in April, which we're twinned with. And again, that didn't happen. So it's, but, you know, hey-ho, it's just how it goes. Certainly the Tbilisi trip will take place. And yes, our honorary consorts and our twins cities, I've spoken to the active ones. There's some less active ones in the city, so that's really good. And also it's really good to find out about what's happening in those countries.
Absolutely right, absolutely. I mean, I think if this pandemic, and you put it brilliantly about how we need to honour some people who have really suffered through this, either loss of life or loss of a loved one or loss of income or loss of their freedoms, or you know, some people have not had a bad pandemic, but other people have had an absolutely terrible one. But I think if we've learnt anything, it's around respect for the environment, and it's about how we're all interconnected. So if ever there's a time for us to talk and reach out to the twin cities to say, how is it in your country? What have you done? What can we learn from that? How can we cooperate? I think it's now, because I don't know if you feel like this, that there was a selfish element of me that felt I would have liked the mayor making, and I would have liked the whole procession, because, you know, I think that's nice and it's good for civic and ceremonial stuff. But actually, in some ways, it's an honour to be doing the role now when there's a need for public service and for people to try and make connections and raise morale, probably more than normally. So actually, it's a plus rather than a negative.
Yeah. Actually, we've got the honorary consort of Romania actually in Bristol. He works for City Council, and I see him a reasonable amount. And it's really interesting. I had a meeting with him talking about his community, the Romanians, and he's the honorary consort for the whole of the Southwest, which is absolutely massive, obviously.
Sure.
But his fellow countrymen and women have suffered greatly, because a lot of them were working on farms where they were in tied property, job stopped, no home. And he's had massive, and also a lot of them were in car washes, you know, fruit pickers, that kind of cash in hand environment. So he's had a lot to do with homelessness. A lot of people obviously financially incredibly vulnerable. He's had to repatriate some people, which was, I think, right at the beginning actually, which was incredibly tough. So that was interesting talking to him, because that community is obviously has very, very particular issues. So yeah.
And that's part of the joy of doing the role, isn't it? That you get access and opportunity to talk to people. You can do that, and then you must have found that you'll have had a conversation with one person, and then you'll talk to someone 2 days later, and suddenly something in your head will go, actually, those two should be talking to each other.
And
you facilitate that. And it's hard to measure that, isn't it, as a measurable achievement, but it is something that does good for the community.
That the partnership working, and that, I mean, you just meet it's incredible. It's the most incredible role you're ever going to do as Lord Mayor. I did last year something in the order of 800 engagements across the year. So it's really busy, but it's just amazing. It's just great, actually. But this is amazing in a different way.
Yes.
This year, it's got challenges, and to be honest with you, I don't think that very much is going to happen this year in terms of our lives.
I mean, we have got a cohort of about 100 people who are our mayor's guides, who do free walks literally every day, apart from one in the year, which currently we're not doing. And we're having chats with people about how can we safely do this. And I think I'm with you that ultimately, if we want to get to a stage where there's demand for some of the things we're doing, and we can do it in a safe way for those attending, for those giving the walks, until we get there, then it's better off not even trying to do it in a way that doesn't fit, having people socially distance, a minimum number of people, everyone wearing masks, no one able to hear each other, doesn't feel right.
No.
So I for my theme, I chose combating loneliness.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which was something I was going to do even before this, but now it feels almost slightly more relevant. And I want to do a symposium on it next year. So that's the only thing that we've got long-term plans for, but the plans are being done in two ways. What do we do if we can do a physical event, and what do we do if we can do an online event? Because that's I think how we've got to think for a significant amount of time.
Oh yeah, I mean, you finish in June next year. It's going to be the same as it is now. I can't see it being any different, really. To be honest with you, I think life is going to be. There's going to be a huge amount of restrictions, because even if we get a vaccine, the whole population won't have been vaccinated in that time. So I just think, but that's, but if it's not, if we've got more freedom, then obviously life will be better.
And we'll get to physically meet at some stage.
Definitely. Yes.
I went to last time I came to Bristol. I did a little bit of tour of my old haunts, because it's a long time since I was a.
Where were your halls? You weren't in Wills Hall.
I wasn't in halls. No, I lived in Bellevue in Clifton, and I went to the Hope Pub predominantly, or the Coronation Tap.
Oh yeah.
Which, when I was there, the time when Stephen was there as well, was slightly rougher than it is now. It sort of destroys your memories, doesn't it, when you go back and you think, I think that's Laura Ashley wallpaper they've got. How's that happened? And I was president of the Students' Union when I was there, so I went into the Union building on Queen's, and my name is still up, and it's I love Bristol. I've got a great deal of fondness for Bristol. Well, are you a native Bristolian, or are you an incomer?
No, well, actually, I'm an incomer because I'm from Keynsham. I've come very far.
Long way.
Pete and I are both alumni from Bristol as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So we both went to Bristol.
Which department were you in?
I did social work.
Social, right, okay. Was that up on...
Priory Road.
Priory Road, yeah.
And I don't know, Pete, you'll have to tell us, what was your degree in? He's
listening.
Yeah.
I am there. I studied English literature with philosophy.
Oh
wow, that sounds posh.
Oh, but I had to play
was some of that in the Wills building then? Because I did philosophy my first year, and I did most of that in the Wills building.
I was put in UH, which was awful. I have to say, I wasn't happy there at all. I moved out after the first semester, and it was along Tyndall Park Road.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They were literally next door to each other, so I'd walk out of the English faculty and then straight through to the philosophy one, which was it was good fun.
What years were you there, Pete?
I'm showing my age now. 1996 to 1999.
That's not showing your age.
I like you.
82. I was 80 to 84.
80 to 84, okay.
What were you, Lord Mayor?
Well, I did my postgraduate diploma and a master's there. I was from 2000. No, I finished in 2000.
Right.
So Pete and I would have probably overlapped a bit.
Yeah, it's a good. It's and obviously we've got the two universities in Bath. So also, you know, we've got a very huge student population here, which I don't know what conversations you've had with your universities. I think ours are working phenomenally hard, but without really knowing how many people are going to be coming back, when they're coming back, whether first years will want to, you know, put off their. I think the theme is that we're all trying to plan when there's such uncertain information.
The Bristol University are basically everything's going to go online. That's and then no graduations at all this year, obviously, and they've gone online. A lot of students I know have deferred. Which I think is a shame, but I kind of understand it. You might as well do your first year in your bedroom and get it out of the way, and you know, because there ain't going to be many jobs. So I'd rather be studying than not working. Anyway, that's up to them. But the universities, we're more in contact with the Bristol University, I would say, than UWE. Yeah. Yeah. It's all pretty low key at the moment with the universities, and a lot of the accommodation I think with the university will be turned into long-term homeless accommodation. Yeah,
I mean, I think that's, again, if we're looking for good things, and I know this is sort of dibbling over more into the council stuff than just the pure, for me, civic and ceremonial stuff. But, you know, a good thing that's come from the pandemic is that we have managed to find homes for a lot of the homeless who didn't think they wanted to come off the streets, but now they have come off the streets, are really happy to have been found somewhere that they can stay permanently. Yeah, and some of that has been student accommodation.
Yeah, well, we at the moment all of our homeless are still in hotels around the city, but I think that the local authority are, I think they're probably talking to Unite, who've got the majority of the student accommodation, but they're also looking for they want a single hit, basically. I think they want to go into partnership with one, Unite would be fine, or a housing association to accommodate. They don't want to mess around with lots of different providers. That's my impression.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Sorry?
That definitely makes sense.
Oh, yeah, of course it does. Yeah, definitely. I wanted to really touch on, have you got any thoughts or plans about Remembrance?
So within Bath, it's led really by the British Legion, Remembrance. And we work around them, and obviously, you know, in the past we've done big things at the Abbey, we've done the dedication at the Remembrance Field, we've turned up to, but it's really their due, in effect, that we come and support as opposed to the other way around.
So we work with a different partner each year to deliver it.
But we, at the moment, just to interject there, we're still working through what the government guidance is and what the projections are for November, and the level of uncertainty we've got. The key thing we have is just managing people's expectations, because with it being a fixed date and time, people will want to show their respects at that time, and it's whether or not that's in keeping with the current messaging about not promoting outdoor events or gatherings outdoors. So we've got a lot to work through still, and a lot of things to consider. At the moment, we're just trying to get an assessment as to where other cities and other core cities are at with their thinking, so that we've all got a bit more of a coordinated UK-wide approach to this.
And I'm sorry that if we're not terribly helpful, but I've not heard of any plans that are going against any of the things that you're saying you're doing. It's just that we are not the lead agency in making them happen. And I'm absolutely with you. I think there is a groundswell of people who absolutely do want to show their respects. It's just how to do it in a safe way. And it's such a balance, isn't it? It's such a balance to get. That you don't want to be in any way negative, but on the other hand, you just cannot promote something that, well, as you say, you get a text at 4 a.m. to say where the balloon is going to take off, just so that you don't get lots of people who turn up to watch because they want to, and you understand why they want to, but it's just not the right thing to do currently.
No.
And obviously Elizabeth and Anthony in the office will help as much as they can, but the people who are really driving it are the Legion, and we obviously turn up where we're meant to, but it's not because it's a pandemic year, that's how it is. That's their due to us, they choose where to hold things, they choose where to do stuff, and we do the facilitating and helping, but it is there and it's normally done incredibly well. So that there was perceived to be no reason to change it. And as you said, the other thing you might want to touch on is Christmas. I don't think I've even got my head round, and it's quite difficult on a day like today, isn't it, to imagine it's ever going to be cold and Christmas again, but it's not that far off.
No, it's not.
But again, I mean, you'll have had the experience of what you did last Christmas, and I was deputy mayor last year, so I did a little bit of stuff, and it was unbelievably busy. And at the moment, as we sit here and speak, I don't think we've got that much turning up.
So, did you go to the dinner, the lunch in Swindon?
No.
So, because Jerry, I met Jerry there, and he was with a lady, and I was just thinking, I wonder if it was you.
Probably his wife. I imagine it might have been his wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, because what we don't, I don't know how you are with you and people we tend never to be seen in the same place. So generally we don't go to the same thing. So he will have gone and done the lunch in Swindon, and I will have been doing something completely different. But yeah, there doesn't. And again, it's because schools, do they know whether or not they're going to be putting on nativity plays? I suspect they're not. But are they making that call now?
Yeah. I mean, I just think, and of course, all those large lunches and dinners and things, they won't be happening because they have a run-in of sort of 6 months, and I just can't see them taking place. And even if they do, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they normally have a conference for about they normally have an event. It's about 500 or 600 people. That's the MTM Awards, Pete. And they normally have 500 people there. And they're still going to put it on, but they're only going to have about 120.
Right, and do it all distant.
Yeah, but they'll have to do it in the same size room.
Absolutely.
The same size room. So, and I was talking to somebody else who he runs does a security conference, and he's normally holds that, I think, in November, and he's deferred it already to March next year, but I can't see it happening in March next year. And
that's the thing, isn't it? A lot of people are doing that thing where they're deferring. So people from March this year have deferred it to October. And now they're looking at it going, we, as you know, we've got, I know you've got a Christmas market. We have a huge Christmas market, which we've already pulled the plug on. Because as you say, there's that lead-in time. That you need to do things. There will be some things put on, I believe, by the authority, but little small events. But yes, the thought of having the number of visitors, it just in the area there's just no way of being able to do it safely. So I think we're all on the same. I think we're all having the same thoughts, aren't we?
Oh, totally. Yeah. So you moved wards. You were Abbey. You were in Abbey, and now you're in. Where are you now?
Bathwick. Yeah, Bathwick. Abbey doesn't exist anymore. They got rid of Abbey Ward.
Oh, did they?
In the ward review. Yeah. So
not enough people living there.
It was a funny ward in that the physical barrier of the river went straight through it. Yeah. So it wasn't particularly a cohesive ward. So what they've done is Abbey and some of the bits went into Kingsmead, and Abbey and some of the bits go into Bathwick, and I'm in Bathwick. So I still have some bits here, but now it slightly makes more geographic, and the community sense is better than it.
Was there a by-election in Abbey a while ago?
There was.
Yes. There was. My gosh, I'm dragging something out the back of my brain there.
There you go. And before I forget, Councillor Tim Ball says, make sure you pass on he didn't say very best regards, he said my big love.
Oh, that's lovely. Well,
he talks very fondly and with great admiration for you.
Oh, that's really nice. That's really lovely. I think that I'm going to be probably coming onto the campaign team for the WECA, but I think I will. So I'll be seeing on Zoom quite a bit of Tim, I think, in the coming months.
I think you probably will. Yes, and I would look forward to working with you on that as well.
That's going to be quite interesting, and it's going to be quite an interesting campaign, that one.
I think it's, absolutely. Well, the last, I don't know, we can't talk about this as mayors particularly because it's a bit party political, but I'm sure we'll get away with it. Have you got any further info about whether a North Somerset will be joining it in time for them to be part of it? Because I think that will make a huge difference.
I don't know about that one.
I don't know yet.
No. That would make a massive difference, and that would be quite interesting. And I think that it would, I mean, everything says they should join, because it's crazy with the particularly with the airport.
Yeah.
And I would have thought that the movement is that they want to get on with it now to join. It seems entirely logical.
It absolutely, to me it makes zero sense they don't. It's just the timing, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm just really hoping, again, I'm kind of thinking that we may end up with a postal ballot or
purely online, purely postal. And I think you're right. Everything is changing, isn't it? And that is the joy as well as the slight scariness.
I think, and actually, everybody having postal votes, it could maybe shift people, because I think I've had a postal vote for years, ever since they've been out, and I think it's great. I don't know why more people don't do it.
It's funny, isn't it? And intellectually and logically, I completely agree with you. But sentences that end in a but. And I know you can still do it with a postal vote. You can take your postal vote with you. I still like the sensation of walking into a polling station. Isn't that weird? And I get yelled at so many times by people saying, you've got more important things to do on a polling day than cast your own vote. Get out and do stuff. But I quite like walking in and putting my X.
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah. Look, I can't thank you enough for your time. And I'm sorry I can't give you any more insight into Remembrance Day, but that's where we are. And I so look forward to meeting you in person.
Oh gosh, yes, definitely. Yeah, I'm sure it will happen. I'm sure it'll happen in the course of time. Yes. Yeah.
I think for now that's probably the end of our chat. What do you feel?
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you for your time. Anyway, thank you.
My absolute pleasure, and thank you.
Okay then. All right.
I think it's the law. You have to wave goodbye at the end of a Zoom call.
Bye-bye then. Bye.